a match at 140 pounds between Doug Yoakum of Perry Hall on your left, Tyrell Gordon from Overly on your right, 140-pound championship.
Doug is an 11th grader with a 19-1-2 record. Last year, he was 12-7 in the junior league, so this is his first year of wrestling in Baltimore County. Tyrell Gordon of Overly brings a 22-4 record. These boys did not meet during the year. In fact, they have never met.
Tyrell Gordon is wearing the orange and blue and white of Overly, and in the dark blue and gold of Perry Hall, it's Doug Yoakum.
And again, a number 1 seed, Doug Yoakum of Perry Hall, number 2, Tyrell Gordon.
No score yet in this 140-pound match.
Very nice move, again near the edge of the mat. Will he be able to bring it in? No, as the referee, Fred Hendricks, blows outside call.
Overly coached by...
Overly is coached by Pete Chakmakis.
Pete Chakmakis. Seen him around.
That's Elmer Bright next to him in the red shirt.
And Al Miller still coaching Perry Hall.
Al has mentioned, because it looks like Perry Hall might win this championship, that we do just honors to his assistant, Larry Robbins, who's sitting next to him. We'll be able to have them on in a few moments.
Right
so
now,
Al Miller and his assistant, Larry Robbins.
Right now, it's Doug Yoakum from Perry Hall and Tyrell Gordon of Overly, and there are some of the fans here tonight. All the seats are filled, people standing around on both ends. It's always a major event in Baltimore County sports, these wrestling championships. We're going to have another major event in 2 weeks. It'll be the girls basketball championship game on TV 20. Then it'll be playoff time and state championships. A break between seasons, and then lacrosse on TV 20.
There we see a good picture of Doug Yoakum, Perry Hall, 11th grader. We're about a minute to go in the first period, no score. Hey, Billy.
Doug Yoakum, Tyrell Gordon, Perry Hall and Overly, no score, 48 seconds to go in the first period.
Tyrell Gordon gets the first point, a 2-point takedown. Immediately lets him go. Neutral position, so the score is 2-1.
And they're off the mat. 2-1, Tyrell Gordon leading Doug Yoakum. Yoakum going for those ankles, but Gordon will have none of it so far.
Red Hedrick signals off the mat.
There's Pete Chakmakis.
And Elmer Bright, his assistant. The end of the first period with a score of 2-1. Tyrell Gordon leading Doug Yoakum of Perry Hall.
Gordon gets his choice, and he chooses to stay up, so they will start this period on their feet.
Some boys can do better on their feet. Some get tired on the mat. Some never seem to get tired on their feet. With the new choice system, it gives them the opportunity to do what they're best at. In trouble see again, sometimes they just stay near that edge of the mat. It's up to the referee to determine whether they're really stalling or that's their natural move.
1:37 to go in the second period. It's Tyrell Gordon leading 2-1. We've had a takedown. We've had an escape, and that's it so far in this match. But there's another takedown, and now it's 4-1, Gordon leading. Off the mat. 1:17 to go in the second period.
Okay, strategy there was, again, Tyrell Gordon left him up, so I have a 4-2 lead, but he feels far more confident on his feet.
Well, they're off the mat, so it is 4-2. 1:06 to go in the second period. Gordon of Overly leading Yoakum of Perry Hall.
He's done the same move again for another 2 points, making the score 6-2.
Well, he gives up one to get two.
Doug Yoakum seems to be frustrated already. I think he's probably frequently gotten the lead. And this time, Tyrell Gordon has the 6-2 lead. He's going to let him up again, make it 6-3. There's someone who really has confidence on his feet.
Well, I know these young men are tough, but boy, when Tyrell hit the mat that time with those knees, I winced.
Let me tell you, the mats, though, in the past 20, 25 years have drastically improved. From the old mohair mat with a canvas cover, these mats really are very, very safe.
24 seconds to go in the second period. Gordon leading 6-3 over Yoakum.
You watch expressions when they come back from the center. Right now, Tyrell seems to be kind of confident. Doug is getting a little frustrated. I have a feeling that with a 19-1-2 record, at this stage, most of the time, he's leading. And right now, he's losing and getting a little less on takedowns and a little frustration starting to come in.
They're off the mat.
Takedown, neutral position with 4 seconds remaining in the second period. Referee Fred Hendricks brings them back to center.
So the second period will end with that 6-3 lead for Tyrell Gordon over Doug Yoakum of Perry Hall.
Doug Yoakum has choice, takes defensive position. Again, he looks rather strong. It appears to me he feels that that's where he can get some points. Try to get him in a mistake and take him right on his back. Tyrell is going to let him up immediately, making the score 6-4, prefers to wrestle on his feet rather than on the mat. He's gotten in on those legs just about every time. Gotten to be near the edge of the mat. There's another takedown, making the score 8-4. You can almost read the frustration on Doug's face.
On the other hand, Walt, that's kind of a high-risk strategy for Tyrell Gordon by giving up points.
Perhaps not. Perhaps Doug is much stronger on the mat. He's afraid of getting caught, maybe going right into a pinning combination. He knows what his strength is. Unfortunately, Doug's fallen behind. I have a feeling he's probably going to let him up again. He'll make me wrong. He does wrestle, at least for a while now. He'll see what it feels. Maybe there's a difference with a 4-point lead than what he had before. Sometimes a point makes all the difference.
8-4, Gordon leading Yoakum in the 140-pound class, 1:25 to go in the match.
Come back to center. If you read the faces, Doug seems again kind of slow. Tyrell's right back full vinegar. Neutral position, escape, making score 8-5. There we see Al Miller yelling encouragement to his wrestler, who's losing 8-5 in the third period.
Spent a lot of years at Perry Hall coaching wrestling and football, among other things. And another point is awarded to...
2 points takedown. You can see the frustration on Doug's face. He's not wrestling his match now. He's just totally frustrated.
59 seconds to go, and Tyrell Gordon of Overly is leading 10-5.
Tyrell is a 12th grader. Doug Yoakum is a 11th grader, so he'll be back next year. Referee indicates neutral position. They go off the mat. They'll be in neutral position with a score 10-6.
1 point there for Yoakum. 37 seconds to go. Tyrell Gordon leading Doug Yoakum 10-6. And Yoakum wants to go over and...
Doug indicates that something's wrong with his mouth. Referee gives opportunity to go over to his coaches.
Doug Yoakum of
I think what he's doing is just getting ready for the last 37 seconds to make a great move, see what he can do.
Pete Chakmakis, the coach. Tyrell Gordon, the wrestler. And so we've got 34 seconds to go in this 140-pound match.
Doug will be trying for a takedown to go right into a pinning combination. Because if he can get a takedown and back points, he could pull it out 11-10.
So Doug Yoakum has 25 seconds to try to overcome a 4-point Tyrell Gordon.
Doug's trying to get ready for some form of a pancake, hoping to be able to take him down and get back points right away.
11 seconds to go in the match. Tyrell Gordon leading by 4 points. Two seconds to go, and Tyrell Gordon is going to win this 140-pound match and will be a Baltimore County champion. Tyrell Gordon defeating Doug Yoakum, Overly defeating Perry Hall, and we have a champion from Overly High School.
Well, this is one situation where the number 2 seed won over the number 1 seed, score of 10-6.
140-pound classification concluded with Tyrell Gordon the champion. We'd like to mention that the athletic director from Franklin High School, George Wagner, is here tonight. We keep you up with the ongoing saga of the Wagner family. George tells us that a grandson was born in his family on the first night of the wrestling tournament. So congratulations to George Wagner and his family, the birth of a grandson, a boy. And we'll keep you up to date as Lev Semenovsky receives his award as the champion at 135 pounds. We'll keep you up to date on the ongoing saga of the George Wagner family. Now we've got coming up the 145-pound category with Troy Holloway of Hereford in the red, the maroon, and Doug Agnes of Randallstown in yellow or gold. And Walt, for the first time in my memory, a wrestler wearing a face mask.
Yes, he's been wearing it throughout this tournament. I mentioned both of these boys are 12th graders. Troy's a top seed with a 23-1 record. Doug Agnes comes in with a 20-2 record.
Doug Agnes with the first 2 points.
Doug Agnes with 2-0 lead of Randallstown. Immediate reversal.
And Holloway gets it. We're tied at 2. Troy Holloway on top in the maroon and white. Doug Agnes of Randallstown in the yellow and black on the bottom.
Doug's had a very successful year. He was first in the McDonough tournament this year, first in the Overly tournament, and 4th in the Arundel tournament. Boys wrestled 2 or 3 tournaments prior to the county tournament. Doug's had a very successful year. They did meet during the season, and Troy won a 9-6 bout. Hence the reason Troy's seated number 1 and Doug Agnes is seated number 2.
We are tied at 2. This is the 145-pound weight class. Troy Holloway of Hereford, Doug Agnes of Randallstown. Referee is Walt Reed. And right now he's watching not much action.
Troy has Doug Agnes' wrists are very tight. working for a pinning combination. What appeared to be no action. Doug was really trying to get his wrist out of there. Referee has not signaled any change, so Hereford still has top position. Be up to this move. There's the 2 points.
Doug Agnes of Randallstown leading.
As the period ended, there were no back points. He did get the reversal, but time ran out before he was able to put on his back. So the score at the end of the first period is 4-2, Randallstown, Doug Agnes.
Hereford coach Jim Long, Randallstown coach Joe Bosley. Walter, are we seeing something, perhaps there's Joe Bosley on the left, of something of the future in wearing masks?
No, it's available if a boy has injured his cheek, has a bad nose, something like that. It's good protection. It's another protection for the sport. Just like football helmets have face masks, different thing. This is protection for a boy who may have something wrong with his cheek, nose. It's added protection and security. You do see them, I won't say frequently, but during the course of the year, if you go to different matches and so forth, it's not a real oddity. It's no discomfort for the boy. It's no problem for the opposing wrestler, but it's just added protection.
4-2, Doug Agnes right now on the bottom from Randallstown, leading Troy Holloway, the #1 seed from Hereford.
Hey, come on, Wolf. Top man, 5 pound left.
This is 145-pound weight classification.
If Doug doesn't get his foot free, he could be in serious position. Troy Holloway has the legs locked, trying to turn him over. Doug doesn't have much choice. It looks like he's laying there, but as long as his legs are tied up, if he goes over on his back, he can be in trouble. Referee sensing no action, calls a stalemate. Will break them. They'll return to the center of the mat. No change in position. Doug Agnes of Randallstown will be on bottom. Troy Holloway of Hereford will assume top position.
57 seconds to go in the second period. 4-2, Agnes of Randallstown leading Holloway of Hereford.
Holloway has a very nice deep waist lock. You can see his hand all the way around, and he's really taking control of riding the match. One boy throws in his legs like that and has the strength to go with it. He can appear that he's dominating. Doug Agnes is having trouble unless he really moves on the whistle, gets out of the position, he's going to remain in constant trouble.
Come on, down, 20 seconds.
20 seconds now to go in the second period, and
The referee will be calling him for stalling. Sure, hey, there it is. There it is. He has warned Doug Agnes for stalling.
just as you say that, Doug Agnes with a flurry of action.
Well, what happened? Troy tried to turn him over and lost the legs as he did it. So picks up 2 more points.
The second period comes to an end. It is 6-2. Doug Agnes of Randallstown leading Troy Holloway of Hereford. And Agnes will be on top.
There's Jim Long and Tom Beck. Two-point reversal to make the score 6-4. Now, Doug has been warned, if he doesn't move, he will get penalty points. And he's going to be taking a beating on bottom position. It's the referee's job, and even though he's winning, he's got to wrestle. And as long as he's flat on the mat like that, he's going to be in trouble. Back points will be eminent. He'll be having trouble throughout the remaining minute and 30 seconds.
Doug Agnes of Randallstown still leading 6-4. 1:18 to go in the third and final period. We're at 145 pounds.
Doug needs to be a little more aggressive in moving from the bottom. He can't set on that 6-4 lead. It'll dissipate very, very fast. Troy has a very good ride with that wrist, has a leg in.
Holloway maintaining control off the mat. They go back to the center. 53 seconds to go in the match. Holloway of Hereford trailing Doug Agnes of Randallstown 6-4.
The key to this match is going to be right now. Will Doug Agnes really move like he wants to get out and make moves to get out? If he stays still, Troy's going to keep him to the mat. It was a half-hearted move.
Well, Holloway maintaining control on top.
He awards 1 point. I don't know if Doug Agnes knows that, but a point has been awarded.
So it is 6-5 now. Agnes leading only by 1 point. 21 seconds to go in this match.
Now he's capped. Seconds remaining.
2 points to each wrestler. 2 seconds to go. So now the official is showing up the points, and it's still
All
a
that
1 point
sorted
lead.
out, it will be an 8-7 score with 2 seconds remaining. There's a very good chance that Randallstown will be getting their second chance.
Holloway has 2 seconds to try to escape and get a point. He will not do it. Doug Agnes of Randallstown, seeded number 3, has defeated the number 1 seed and wins a Baltimore County Wrestling Championship at 145 pounds.
Might mention, I've talked about how the closeness of good wrestlers led Simonovsky from the 105 pounds. There you see Doug Agnes of Randallstown, 1989 145-pound champ, treated by his father.
Randallstown with its second winner today. The other was Lev Simonovsky. And we're going to have the awards for 140 pounds, where the winner was Tyrell Gordon of Overley. And we'll see Tyrell Gordon. There's Doug Yoakum, the runner-up from Perry Hall, and in the middle will be Tyrell Gordon. There he comes from Overley High School, the champion at 140 pounds. And now we're going to a 152-pound match. And on the mat, we'll have Phil Testerman of EBT and Darrell Jenkins from Woodlawn.
Before we get into that, I might mention an oddity. The first 5 matches were won by the number 1 seeds. The last 3, the number 1 seeds did not win. There was a number 3 seed, a number 2, and a number 3.
There is Darrell Jenkins of Woodlawn on the right, Phil Testerman of EBT on the left. And we're underway at 152 pounds.
Phil is an 11th grader. In 1988 last year, he was second at 138. Darrell Jenkins is a 12th grader from Woodlawn with a 12-2 record. He was first in the Overley tournament. He hasn't wrestled all year long. He has only 14 matches. Phil has an 18-3 record coming into this tournament. Number 1 and number 2 seeds.
And the referee is Jack Woodward. Jack is a vice principal at Loch Raven High School from Monday to Friday and some other days thrown in. And so far, no score in this 152-pound match. Phil Testerman of EVT, Darrell Jenkins of Woodlawn, and that's Jenkins there on your left, Testerman on your right. Now the other way around.
Assisting referee is Bob Newton. Good move. Is able to spin around. That'll be 2 points for Darrell Jenkins of Woodlawn. With 1 minute remaining in the first period, Darrell Jenkins has a 2-0 lead.
Len Hyman coaching Woodlawn, Joe Gast coaching EVT. Darrell Jenkins right now in control on the top from Woodlawn.
While their uniforms are very, very similar, you'll see a much wider stripe for the Woodlawn wrestler. Plus, he has a red anklet, but you won't always be able to see that.
2-0. Jenkins leading Testerman. We've got 23 seconds to go in the first period.
Darrell has put in his legs, but he almost lost them. See, basically a little slowing down, too. The bigger boys don't seem to move as fast as the lighter ones.
Three seconds to go in the first period. And Jenkins will maintain his 2-0 lead. Testerman was given the choice. He deferred, and that means he'll get the choice in the third period. So Jenkins has chosen to be on the bottom. 2-0, Darrell Jenkins of Woodlawn leading Phil Testerman from EVT.
Notice again, the wrestlers don't want to stay flat on the mat. It's immediately trying to stay on the knees and improve from there. Easier to come up to a top position, easier to do moves.
This is the 152-pound classification. 4 more classifications to go for a total of 13.
Which is one more than in previous years, which was 12. Referee blows stalemate because there's no improvement. They go back to center with no change in position. Darrell Jenkins of Woodlawn will be on bottom, and Phil Testerman of EVT will be top.
1:23 to go in the second period. Jenkins still leading 2-0 since early in the first period.
There's the position I'm talking about. When he's flat like that, see, he does come right back up. That's what the wrestlers want to do. No change of position yet. No points have been awarded.
Catch him! Catch him! That's it, lock that cradle up.
That's because Testerman still has that leg of Darrell Jenkins.
Yeah, he just lost that leg, and referee Jack Woodward has awarded the 2 points.
So it is 4-0. Jenkins leading Testerman.
Bring him in! Bring him in!
They're off the mat. 32 seconds to go in the second period. Woodlawn leading EVT. Lots of people here tonight at Owings Mills High School, home of the Owings Mills Golden Eagles. Joe Gass there on the right with the EVT orange sweater.
You know, EVT has a lot to be proud of. They've been champs for the past 5 years in this tournament. It's the first time that another school has taken the crown.
And Coach Joel Bailey's boys basketball team is moving toward a high ranking in the regions, an excellent season for the Mavericks. But right now, Phil Testerman trails 4-0. We're down to 8 seconds to go in the second period.
I have to say this is a little bit surprised. Number 2 seed over the number 1. They will now go to the third period with 2 minutes of wrestling remaining.
4-0. Darrell Jenkins up there on his feet, leading Phil Testerman, and he looks very fresh. Testerman looks tired.
Well, Phil brings an 18-3 record in, and that means most of the time he's been winning. Sometimes, boys, it's a new experience, and they have to see if they can come back. Darrell is taking control and seems to really have control of the mat. He's riding very well.
Darrell Jenkins on top, in the lead, and right now in control of Phil Testerman of EVT.
In the far corner there, we see Glenn Hyman, the coach of Woodlawn, offering encouragement to his wrestler. Referee has counted some back points, so there'll be at least 2 more. 2 more points that will make the score 6-0 with about 1 minute 10 seconds remaining in the third period.
Darrell Jenkins of Woodlawn trying to pin Phil Testerman of EVT.
Referee, you see, counting.
Jenkins in good shape with 50 seconds to go and a 6-0 lead.
Because he has that hold in there, referee won't award the points yet. He does have some points there. He's awarding them now. 3 more points, making the score 9-0 with 35 seconds remaining. Somewhat of a surprise, I think, for the fans and for EVT. Number 2 wrestler beating the number 1 wrestler at the present time by a score of 9-0.
And a very convincing win for Daryl Jenkins.
As you indicated, Phil seemed to be kind of tired. He really isn't moving. Even now, he's on the bottom, and Daryl is just sort of riding him. I've seen some other matches, and this isn't the way that Phil usually wrestles. The referee, Jack Bainbridge, counting 2 more points, making the final score 11-0.
Daryl,
the number 2 seed of Woodlawn wins by a score of 11-0, giving Woodlawn their 2nd champ of the evening.
Ramon Johnson won at 125 pounds. Daryl Jenkins wins at 152 pounds. Woodlawn with 2 champions. So far, the champions have been Eddie Steele of Hereford, Joe Tartle of Parkville, Tom Peluso of EVT, Ramon Johnson of Woodlawn, Robert Huff of Hereford, Lev Simonovsky of Randallstown, Tyrell Gordon of Overly, Doug Agnes of Randallstown, and now Daryl Jenkins of Woodlawn at 152 pounds as we see the awards for 145 pounds. And at the top of the platform will be, there is Troy Holloway, the runner-up from Hereford, and number 1 at the top will be Doug Agnes of Randallstown. Champion, 145 pounds. And now we'll have a match featuring another undefeated but once tied wrestler, Tom Buchel of Perry Hall, and the man who tied him is his opponent tonight, Dwayne Epps of EVT. There you see Dwayne, and he will meet Tom Buchel of Perry Hall. There's Tom and his coach, Al Miller. And Walt, this ought to be a good one.
Yes, it should. Some real quick things. Both boys are 12th graders. Tom's a defending champion. He won 155 pounds last year. His record is 21-0-1. He's had only 3 points scored in him all year long. I might mention that these boys met just last week, and the score was a 0-0 tie. Dwayne Epps is 19-1-1, was 3rd last year at 155 and took 4th in the state.
Buchel goes down, but it's off the mat, so it won't count. We still have no score. Dwayne Epps there on your right, Tom Buchel on your left. Tom's dad is Kurt Buchel, who is a football and wrestling coach at Pikesville High School. His older brother is now at the Tom's older brother is now at the Air Force Academy, and Tom hoping to go there also. He's also an outstanding student and an outstanding lacrosse player.
And an outstanding wrestler. I think over the years, he has something like a 66-8-2 record, and very, very successful.
Dwayne Epps seated number 2, Tom Buchel seated number 1. 1:30 to go in the first period and no score.
For 160 pounds, these boys are moving fairly fast in comparison with some of the ones that we've seen just previously.
A lot of action here. In fact, our cameraman, one of them, Russell Pompey, had to get out of the way over there that time as they were coming right at him.
Dwayne is very fast. He's gotten in on Tom twice. He's had the leg both times, but Tom's a very good athlete, was able to get out of that.
There he goes again, and they're off the mat. So
you might watch what Dwayne is doing. He's trying to get up a little shove with the shoulders to get a reaction, and if the person will react, he'll go in on the legs. This time, Tom gets in there and loses the knee.
Joe Gast and Al Miller are the coaches. Dwayne Epps and Tom Buchel are the wrestlers. And we still have no score with 47 seconds to go in the first period.
Bob Newton is the referee of this match.
There's Joe Gast, EVT coach. Get a mat's eye view there. And it's Buchel and Epps. And they're off the mat again. 29 seconds to go in the first period. Their last match The only time they met was 0-0, and it's 0-0 here tonight.
Been a lot of action, a lot of attempts for a takedown. Both of them are trying to get the other wrestler to react to something as they go in on the feet.
Referee is Bob Newton, but we're going to go, it looks like, Walt, into 4 periods now, starting with their last match of no score between these two young men, and that certainly indicates how evenly matched they are.
Don't forget, in the 22 matches that Tom's wrestled all year long, only 3 points have been scored on him all year long.
I noticed Tom looks up behind us in the top of the stands, and of course I could see the reason why, because his dad is sitting up there in the top row, and there's his coach, Al Miller.
At this stage, though, there's not a whole lot that anyone can say. It's up to them and to react.
No, the
Boys
dad
have been working since
That's right.
November. They're in good shape. Coach can offer encouragement and suggestions, but it's really up to them. Mentally, they've got to be prepared for it. Physically, it's been an interesting match so far.
certainly has, and it's still no score between Epps and Buechel. Well, how much of this sport is mental?
A good portion. If all mental, but if you don't have the physical attributes, you won't be good. But if you have the physical attributes and you're not into it mentally, you won't be as good either. We've seen a couple matches where the wrestlers have tried to psych one another out. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I would say Doug Yoakum of Perry Hall was sort of doing that. These boys, I think, are just in fine shape. They're good athletes, both of them. They're very fast. And they're moving. See, Tom throws his feet right in. You can see how he wins loud. He gets that arm lock. There may be some points. It may have been 0-0, but there's the first back point. He broke it. Only got 2 points. Didn't hold him there for the required 5 seconds. So Tom Buechel's leading by a score of 2-0.
Tom Buechel of Perry Hall on top there of Dwayne Epps of EVT.
You've mentioned that Tom's a multi-sport player in high school. You can see he's just a real good athlete.
Well, so is Dwayne. Both of them are outstanding athletes. They participate in more than one sport.
I bet you if we could have Dwayne here and ask him, he was totally and completely surprised by the move. He never expected that.
2-0, Buechel leading Epps. 1:10 to go in the second period. These are two really quality wrestlers.
Important time we just saw him on a mat thinking of what he's going to do and how he's going to move. That's the important thing. Notice he's not flat. I'm referring to Dwayne. He's not flat on the mat. That's good. You want to keep space between you and the mat. As I speak, he goes flat on the mat. But that's how he can get in trouble. There'll be at least 2 more points. 2 points, 2 more back points. That will make the score 4-0.
Buechel of Perry Hall leading Epps of EVT. We're at 160 pounds. 3 more matches to go in these Baltimore County Wrestling Championships.
Tom has his legs in there very well, riding nice, not too high, staying up high on them. Dwayne's going to be taking a little beating. Every time he needs to get up, he's got to lift the 160 pounds.
And we're now down to
more back points.
We're now down to 10 seconds to go in the second period. 2 more points for Buechel. He leads 6-0. So very quickly, after a 0-0 first period, Tom Buechel scores 6 points in that second period and takes a commanding lead.
Was a very similar move. He had his legs in there and worked for back points.
Dwayne Epps will be on the bottom. Tom Buechel will be on top. 2 more minutes to go in this 160-pound match. Tom Buechel leading Dwayne Epps 6-0.
Quality wrestling here. Quality wrestling. Again, he moved on the whistle, tried very hard.
Right now in the team totals, Perry Hall is in the lead. And of course, if Tom Buechel wins this match, which Joe Gass doesn't want to happen, Perry Hall will add to its team leading totals. 6-0, Buechele leading Dwayne Epps, 1:35 to go in the third and final period. We're at 160 pounds. Buechele seated number 1, Epps seated number 2.
Same move. He's gotten the legs. Tom has gotten the legs in there, and it's a very good ride. Dwayne Epps, if he has any hopes, has to get from bottom position and really start moving, which is not an easy thing because Tom is a very, very good rider, good in all phases of wrestling. Referee Bob Newton is warning Dwayne Epps, bottom man, for stalling. In his judgment, he's not moving enough.
Off the mat, 51 seconds to go in the third period. Buechele leading 6-0.
Thing we've got to look for right now is to see how fast Dwayne's going to move in the bottom position. It really has to move, not just one move, but a combination. Tom immediately throws in the legs. It's easier said than done. Got the legs in. Immediately, whatever Dwayne does, he's got to lift his own weight because Tom's directly on top. To followers of wrestling, it wouldn't be surprised. Last week, it was a 0-0 match. Today, it's 6-0.
26 seconds to go in this 160-pound match. Tom Buechele with a commanding lead of 6-0 over Dwayne Epps. So it looks like Perry Hall will have another champion and will add to its team totals. Right now, Perry Hall leads Hereford with Woodlawn third, Overly fourth, Randallstown in fifth place. And we've got to go down to seventh place, Walt, to find the defending champions of many years, the EBT Mavericks.
7th out of 20-some schools is not a bad position.
Well, and
to be
again,
in,
it's a tribute to the parity of other schools and other young men wanting to challenge those perennial champions. Tom Buechele in command, and he's going to be the champion at 160 pounds. Off the mat, 1 second to go. Tom Buechele of Perry Hall will defeat Dwayne Epps of EBT for the 160-pound championship.
Might add also, when we came in, we talked about Tom not having points scored on him, only 3 all year long. He wins a 6-0 match, so it still remains that only 3 points have been scored on Tom Buechele all season long.
A remarkable record for this young man. He looks up to see his dad and how proud his dad is of those two boys that have gone to Perry Hall High School while he has worked at Pikesville High School. And both, one at the Air Force Academy and the other one, it looks like, on his way. So congratulations to the Buechele family and Tom as he defeats Dwayne Epps at 160 pounds in the Baltimore County Wrestling Championships.
And you have to understand the quality of Dwayne Epps. 19-1-1.
Absolutely, an outstanding season.
Don't always appreciate that what the competition is, but those were two quality wrestlers.
And there's the champion at 152 pounds, Darrell Jenkins of Woodlawn, receiving his certificate and his award. And now we're going to move to the 171-pound classification. We've got Sean Russell of Woodlawn and Jason Moore of Perry Hall. So it's Al Miller and Glenn Hyman again as the coaches. And there we see Jason Moore from Perry Hall. And in just a moment, we'll see Sean Russell of Woodlawn. Here comes Sean into your picture on the left. Sean Russell on your left, Jason Moore on your right, Woodlawn against Perry Hall. And here we go. 171 pounds.
Sean Russell of Woodlawn's had an outstanding year. He's a senior. He brings a 23-1-1 record into this. Jason Moore of Perry Hall is an 11th grader with a 21-1-1 record. I would mention that these boys have also wrestled during the season. And do you know what happened? A 9-9 tie. So there won't be any psyching out by prior scores. Both boys will be going at full speed. Sean took first in the Overly tournament, first in the Francis Scott Key tournament, and second in the North Hagerstown tournament. Jason Moore of Perry Hall took second in the John Carroll tournament.
Tom Galen is the referee. Fred Hendricks is the mat judge. And we've got Sean Russell there in the black with red and white of Woodlawn, and of course in the gold and blue, it's Jason Moore of Perry Hall. 1:19 to go in the first period, no score.
Again, another oddity of wrestling that I point out that happens so frequently. You'll see two straight wrestlers from Perry Hall, which is very, very frequently. One makes the other a better wrestler at practice. They work harder. One pushes. So you see two straight coming to the finals of the county tournament.
1 minute to go in the first period, still no score. And we noticed that Sean Russell has a bandage on that left hand and wrist, Walt.
Well, I'm sure the referees have checked it. I do not have any information as to what it is. Sometimes just banging on the mat and so forth, you can weaken a wrist, and it's safer that way so that don't get all... He also has one on his right fingers. Two of his fingers are taped together. That may be for security, something that he's hurt along the way.
.40 seconds to go in this first period, still no score.
Jason Moore has made a real good move. Referee indicates neutral position. As long as he keeps that arm hooked in there, commonly called the whizzer, he will not be able to come around. He'll try to get him off the mat. If that knee goes off the mat, which we can't, Eric, the knee goes off the mat, it will be out of bounds.
And they are out of bounds, so they'll come back to a neutral position. 10 seconds to go in the first period. No score. Jason Moore of Perry Hall, Sean Russell of Woodlawn, 171 pounds, as Russell goes over to talk to Glenn Hyman. These young men, Walt, are probably also lucky to have escaped the flu epidemic that has just run rampant through the whole area recently, as we see Al Miller.
You know, you mentioned that. You don't know how many of these boys might be just starting to come down with it. Maybe that's the reaction, the way that they worked in the tournament. That's the dread scare of the wrestlers. Can you imagine working all season long and coming into a tournament or a region tournament or the states and not being up to what you normally are?
Well,
beginning of the second period with Sean Russell being in bottom position and Jason Moore of Perry Hall on top.
As I mentioned earlier, if you're playing baseball, you go 0 for 5, your teammates can pick up the slack and you could still win the game. If you're really ill or injured, a substitute can go in for you. Here, there's nobody to help. There's nobody to come in. You're all alone.
And you've got 6 minutes. Boy, no matter how they feel, once they've worked as hard as they have to get here, boys will make an effort.
No score between Moore and Russell, Perry Hall and Woodlawn.
Again, Sean Russell, Woodlawn is the top seed. Jason Moore of Perry Hall is the second seed.
And as you mentioned, their previous match, they wrestled to a 9-9 tie, as we see Glenn Hyman, the coach of Woodlawn, who has brought his team to, at this point, third place in the team standings. Quite an accomplishment for Glenn Hyman and the Woodlawn Warriors.
Yes, it is, and he's only about 1 point from second place. If Woodlawn wins this, they will be in second place.
So an important match for Sean Russell and an important match for his team.
Sean has just escaped for 1 point, so he leads with 1:13 remaining in the second period by a score of 1-0.
Now going for the takedown is Sean Russell.
He has the leg. He's in the center of the mat, trying to trip the other one. 2 points by Tom Galen is awarded. Score is now 3-0 in the second period. Sean Russell of Woodlawn leading Jason Moore of Perry Hall.
Moore trying to get up and break that grip.
That's what the wrestlers want to do. They don't want to stay on the bottom like that. You notice Jason right away stood up. And that's the right thing to do. They take punishment when they're on the bottom of the mat like that.
Sean Russell is holding that left arm. I think he's got a problem in there, Walt. He seems to be in some distress. with that left arm.
He seemed to be feeling his right near the elbow. I can't tell. That's what Glenn Hyman, the coach, is looking at. He's rubbing the elbow, and they came down and hit. Even if you hit on the mat as soft as it is, if you've got a problem with some part of your body, landing like that can cause trouble. He's shaking it, his left elbow.
He is leading 3-0 with 38 seconds to go in the second period. That's Sean Russell of Woodlawn leading Jason Moore of Perry Hall. And in the next two matches, the only two matches left in the evening, neither Perry Hall nor Woodlawn has any wrestlers.
Tom Galen indicated locked hands will be a technical violation of locking hands, and 1 point given to Jason Moore. That's a point against Sean Russell. He locked his hands about the waist without a pinning combination.
So he leads 3-1 now with 25 seconds to go. And a reversal.
Completes a reversal. So the score is now tied 3-3 with 21 seconds remaining in the first period. Second period.
3-3, Sean Russell and Jason Moore. The last time they wrestled, it was a 9-9 tie. So they've wrestled almost two more periods and still tied.
3-3. Sometimes you might ask yourself, how could it be 9-9 and now 3-3? When the boys get to this high caliber and they're in the tournament shooting for the championship, they might not move as fast. They might be a little bit more cautious.
They are tied at 3. There's Al Miller, and we've got 2 more minutes of wrestling to go in this 171-pound classification.
Advantage a little bit now is to Jason Moore. With the score tied and on bottom, he can score points. While Sean Russell can also score points, he's going to score them only by a pinning combination. So Jason Moore's strategy is going to have to be to move. And I might add, move.
Moore trying to flip him over, but he wasn't able to do it. Again, we're still tied at 3, and we have 1:30 to go in this match. There can be no ties. If we end this match in a tie, there will be overtime. Moore tried to escape.
Very fast
daylight
move.
that time.
Yes, a very fast move. He just pulled his arms back and immediately took control. Sean's trying to get his legs in. Pretty big person for leg wrestling, but it looks like he's trying to do.
And they're off the mat, so we'll go back to neutral position. 58 seconds to go. Tie at 3.
I think you'll see some movement by Jason Moore now.
Sean Russell of Woodlawn on top, Jason Moore of Perry Hall on the bottom.
What's going on there? Feet have to be positioned in a certain manner. The mat judge, Fred Hendricks, observed something about the legs not being properly placed, called it so that it was stopped. 55 seconds remaining, and we'll see escape for a 4-3 lead.
What?
Now it's going to be up to Sean Russell to get a takedown for a win.
Because he trails now. Jason Moore now leading 4-3, 37 seconds to go in this match.
Look in their face sometimes. Sean looks tired. You talked about the flu blood. He doesn't look strong. And as I say it, he's working. He does not have the takedown yet. Does not have the takedown. He does now. 2-point takedown. So the score is 5-4, and there's going to be an escape. 5-5.
Right back to the tie.
14 seconds remaining.
14 seconds to go, and in 2 matches between these two, they have still not decided a winner. But tonight there will be one. 6 seconds.
We will have our first overtime match. No, time had expired. That had only been a second or two sooner. we will have our first overtime match.
Overtime in the 171-pound classification between Sean Russell of Woodlawn and Jason Moore. And Walt, both of these young men look tired.
Yes, but I think Sean looks tighter. He's either his elbow or what. You see them trying to cater to him over there, offer some suggestions, get him some fresh air. What they will do, they'll have 1 minute for timeout. We will go to 3 overtime periods. There'll be a 1 minute period on their feet and 2 minutes
Stay with
to the second
Stay with
period.
TV 20. We'll be right back.